The time is collapsing into itself, and the clock has begun its final descent. The weight of silence that hangs in the air is not just stillness, it is the calm before the unraveling. There are only 35 minutes left before the unseen breaks through the veil, before what was hidden in shadow steps into the light. A force has been set in motion, not by chance, but by the culmination of choices, energies, and whispers ignored. You are standing on the edge of a moment that will not come again, and every second that passes is calling out for your attention, your awakening, your courage to face what is rapidly approaching. There is no time now for hesitation, no luxury of doubt. What was once far away is now at your door. You have felt it, an unease in the spirit, a trembling in the heart, a pull in the unseen corners of your soul. This is not fear, though it may feel like it. It is recognition. Your inner being knows that something is shifting, that a tide of consequence has begun to roll toward you, and it cannot be stopped by denial or delay. You were warned in dreams, in signs, in sudden moments of intuition that you brushed aside. But the hourglass is almost empty. The flow of divine timing does not wait for comfort or convenience. You must open your eyes, your heart, your mind now. There is still time to turn the course, but that time is not generous. It is brief, it is fierce, and it demands your full attention. You must understand, this is not punishment, this is awakening. The energy that is moving toward you is the reflection of all that was left unresolved. It carries with it the echoes of choices unhealed, of truth unspoken, of paths refused. You cannot outrun it, but you can meet it with readiness, with clarity, with the strength that has always lived within you. That strength was placed there for this very hour. The world around you may appear ordinary, yet beneath its surface, everything is vibrating with urgency. What you think is coincidence is design. What you think is delay is mercy. The forces that govern destiny are gathering around you, pressing you to choose, to rise, to listen, to realign before the hour strikes. This message is not for your comfort. It is for your survival of spirit. You are being called to step out of the sleep of distraction and into the fire of awareness. The tragedy that approaches is not simply external. It is the cost of remaining blind when your soul is pleading for sight. Do not say later that you did not know, that you were not warned, that you thought you had more time. Time is thinning, and every breath now counts as a decision. If you can still hear this message, if you are still breathing in this moment, there is hope. There is always hope, but you must act. You must face what you fear, speak what you've been silent about, forgive what has chained you, and release what no longer serves the light within you. Each step you take in truth pushes back the approaching storm. Each act of awareness rebuilds the wall that keeps despair at bay. This is your hour of decision, the final test of your inner fire. You are not powerless. You were never powerless. You were given everything you need to overcome, but you must use it. Listen to the trembling in your heart. It is the voice of your divine self crying out, "Wake up." Do not let this moment pass. Do not hide behind disbelief or pride. The warning comes not from fear, but from love so great it will not abandon you, even as you drift toward danger. Love is calling out through this message, begging you to open your spirit before it is too late. 35 minutes, that is all the mercy that remains before what has been written begins to unfold. You can still alter its path, still shift its power, but only through awareness, humility, and action. Time is collapsing, folding upon itself like waves drawing back before a great surge, and the ticking that once felt distant now pounds like thunder in the veins of the universe. Every moment you once thought was guaranteed is dissolving. Every breath now carries the weight of urgency. Every second holds the vibration of change that cannot be stopped. 35 minutes remain, not just as numbers on a clock, but as the final stretch before the unseen manifests, before the balance between what is known and what has been hidden breaks open and demands to be faced. The air itself has grown heavy with anticipation, as though creation is holding its breath, waiting to see whether you will rise or be swept away by what is coming. There is a trembling in the spiritual atmosphere, an unseen force weaving through the spaces between thought and heartbeat, whispering that the hourglass is nearly empty, and that the world as it stands now is not meant to stay unchanged. You have felt it already. though you may not have recognized it for what it is, the strange stillness that comes without reason, the moments when your pulse quickens, though nothing around you has shifted, the sense that someone, somewhere, is watching and waiting for you to awaken. These are not random sensations, they are signals, they are echoes of divine timing converging on the present moment. The past and future are tightening around this very point, pressing it into significance, making it impossible to ignore. Time itself is beginning to contract, to focus, to burn through illusion until all that is left is truth. The illusion of delay, of safety in waiting, of tomorrow being promised, is slipping away, and what stands in its place is a final call to act, to awaken, to remember what you came here to do before everything shifts beyond your control. The countdown has begun, and though you cannot see it, numbers fading, your soul can feel them. It feels the quickening rhythm of destiny approaching. You may have dismissed the subtle signs, the restless dreams, the chills without cause, the flickers of light at the edge of vision, but those were the early warnings. They were the whispers of something vast aligning itself around you, a convergence of energy that is no longer waiting for your permission to move. Time, once fluid and forgiving, is now deliberate, purposeful, urgent. What was once distant is rushing forward, drawn by the magnetic pull of consequence. Choices long made, words long spoken, actions once forgotten, all are finding their way back to the present moment, seeking balance, seeking closure, seeking to be seen before the curtain falls on this cycle. There is a sacred intensity in the air now, one that cannot be ignored without cost. It is the vibration of prophecy meeting reality, of fate catching up to free will. The old timelines are collapsing, merging into one singular current that carries both warning and promise. Those who can feel it sense the narrowing of possibility. The way doors that were once open are beginning to close. The way time itself is pushing you toward a single point of decision. The clock does not tick in cruelty. It ticks in mercy, reminding you that the hour of transformation is near, and that you still have the chance to stand ready, to prepare your heart, to align with the truth that has been calling to you since before you could understand its voice. You cannot delay this moment. The universe no longer operates on comfort. It operates on alignment. Those who cling to what is safe, familiar, and stagnant will find their foundations trembling beneath them. Those who surrender to what is real, no matter how painful, will find themselves carried through the storm that is forming just beyond sight. The 35 minutes that remain are not literal. They are spiritual. They are the representation of divine countdown, the thinning veil between complacency and awakening, between the illusion of stability and the reality of change. Time itself is no longer linear. It is spiraling inward, drawing every hidden truth, every unresolved shadow, every buried emotion to the surface, so that nothing false may pass through what comes next. You can already sense the pull, the way moments seem to blur, how hours vanish without notice, how everything feels both too fast and too still. This is not chaos, it is acceleration. The energies of creation are condensing, pulling you into the heart of divine timing. The linear world cannot hold this much light for long. It must break, it must shift, it must realign to the vibration of truth. You are living inside a countdown not of doom, but of revelation. When time collapses, what remains is essence, what remains is truth, and truth is both a fire and a mirror. It will show you what you have denied and burn away what no longer belongs. The fear you feel in this moment is not your enemy, it is your signal. It is the sound of false comfort dying, of your deeper knowing breaking through. Each tick of this invisible clock is sacred. It is not urging you to panic, but to awaken. It is reminding you that the divine plan is not measured in human hours, but in moments of decision, moments when the soul must finally choose whether to rise or remain asleep. You stand in one of those moments now. The collapse of time means that everything you have postponed, healing, forgiveness, truth, courage, is now standing before you, demanding to be met. The universe will not wait for you to be ready. It is calling you to step into readiness itself. The time left is not a threat, it is a summons. It is an opportunity to claim the light within you. Before the shifting begins, you must understand that the energy of these final minutes carries a great paradox. It feels destructive because it is transformative. It feels final because it is birthing something new. The collapse of time is not the end of existence, but the end of illusion. It is the convergence of all things into the now, where choice becomes power and awareness becomes protection. Those who ignore this will find themselves unanchored when the current turns, asking why they did not listen, wondering how everything changed so quickly. But those who heed the call, who recognize that every breath now holds divine purpose, will rise into clarity while others fall into confusion. The collapsing of time is not meant to destroy but to reveal, to strip away the false so that only what is eternal may remain 35 minutes. It is not merely a countdown, it is a mercy. It is the last echo of divine patience, the final chance to awaken before cause becomes consequence. Do not count the minutes in fear, count them in awareness. Each one holds the chance to realign, to release, to prepare. The collapse is coming, but within it lies your liberation, your awakening, your remembrance of who you are and why this message found you now. A hidden force has been set in motion, unseen yet unstoppable, moving like a great current beneath the surface of reality, pressing against the fragile walls of human perception. It began long before this moment, born from choices made in silence, from words spoken in haste, from energies ignored and signs left unanswered. What was once dormant has now awakened, and it is coming toward you faster than you realize, gathering momentum with every breath you take, every heartbeat that trembles in anticipation of what is to come. This force does not announce itself with noise, yet its presence is felt in the unease that creeps into quiet moments, in the restless nights when sleep refuses to come, in the heaviness that settles on your chest when you sense something vast approaching just beyond your sight. It is not here to destroy you, but it will not spare you from truth, for truth is what drives it forward like fire seeking ere the signs are everywhere, though most have chosen not to see them. The strange patterns in time, the coincidences that repeat too perfectly, the tension in the atmosphere that no storm explains, the feeling that something is watching, calculating, waiting for its appointed hour. These are the tremors that come before revelation, the ripples that warn of an approaching wave. The hidden force does not move through chaos but through divine order. It has been gathering for longer than you can measure, and its purpose is exact. Every soul who feels this warning stirring within them is not mistaken. They are being called to attention because the wave is almost upon them. It does not care for titles or comfort. It moves according to spiritual law, and those who stand unprepared will be swept into confusion, while those who have listened will stand in the eye of clarity. You may not yet see it, but it is already shaping the world around you. It moves through conversation, through emotion, through unexpected moments of revelation that break through routine like lightning splitting the sky. It is the reason you feel both drawn and unsettled, both anxious and awake, as though part of you knows that everything is about to shift. The hidden force is neither friend nor foe. It is the mirror of collective consequence, the energy that arises when truth has been delayed too long. It does not come to punish, but to correct, to balance, to restore what has fallen out of harmony. Every action, every thought, every vibration has summoned it, and now it travels toward you like an echo of what you have sent into the world. There is no outrunning it, for it does not travel by distance, it travels by resonance. It seeks those who vibrate at its frequency, those whose souls are tied to the lessons it carries. If you feel it drawing near, it is because you have a role to play in what it brings. This is not an external storm, it is a convergence of spiritual forces, the merging of unseen currents that are aligning to bring forth a revelation. You are not merely witnessing it, you are within it, part of its movement, part of its message. The decisions you make now, the awareness you hold, the courage you summon will determine how it reaches you. Those who hide behind disbelief will face it unprepared. Those who awaken will meet it, As participants in the divine, unfolding this force carries memory. It remembers every moment that was denied light, every truth suppressed, every intention hidden beneath fear. It gathers all that has been buried and brings it to the surface, not to condemn, but to release. It will strip away illusion until only what is authentic remains. You can already feel this process beginning. The situations in your life that can no longer continue are breaking down. Relationships are shifting. Identities are dissolving. And what once seemed solid is beginning to tremble. This is the force in motion, subtle yet unstoppable, gentle yet absolute. It will not rest until every hidden thing is revealed, for it was born of divine necessity, and what is divine cannot be delayed. Forever the world itself responds to it. You can see it in the strange tension of the earth, in the cries of nature, in the shifting weather of both the sky and the soul. Humanity stands at the threshold of realization, yet most still sleep through the tremors. The hidden force is the awakening energy of truth, shaking loose the illusions that have kept hearts bound. You may sense it as pressure, as anxiety, as the feeling that time itself is speeding up, but what you are truly sensing is alignment. It is the tightening of divine threads, pulling every life, every event, every destiny into place for what must unfold next. It is not coming to harm you. It is coming to show you what you truly are when everything false is stripped away. Do not mistake its silence for absence. It is working in places you cannot see, moving through layers of reality that your eyes are not trained to perceive. It is preparing moments of revelation, encounters, and decisions that will bring you face to face with your own truth. It is already testing your faith, your patience, your understanding, not to break you, but to strengthen the core that must endure what lies ahead. It approaches not as punishment, but as purification, and those who open their hearts will feel its power not as destruction, but as deliverance. Yet to those who resist, who cling to denial and fear, it will appear as chaos, as tragedy, as loss, because they will see the dismantling of all they tried to control. The speed with which it moves is beyond comprehension. What took years to change now shifts in days. What took lifetimes to learn is being revealed in moments. This acceleration is not random. It is the signature of divine intervention. The hidden force does not operate in human time. It follows the rhythm of cosmic order, and now that order demands resolution. Every unresolved truth is being called forth, every falsehood is being exposed, every shadow is being brought into the light. The resistance of the world cannot stop it. It can only determine how painful the process becomes. The force does not ask for permission, for it is not bound by human law. It is the answer to imbalance, the return of equilibrium, the breath of divine correction moving through creation. You can feel it when you close your eyes. It hums beneath the surface of your awareness, like a storm building behind the horizon of consciousness. It speaks in the language of intuition, in flashes of insight, in sudden knowing that bypasses logic. It may come to you in symbols, in dreams, in the quiet certainty that something vast is about to occur. This is the moment of recognition, the moment when your spirit remembers what it has always known, that nothing hidden remains hidden forever. The force that is approaching is the embodiment of that truth. It moves with precision, guided by higher order, and nothing within its path is accidental. It is not too late to align with it. The force does not come to destroy the awakened. It comes to elevate them, to position them for what is next. You align not through fear, but through awareness, through honesty, through surrender, through the willingness to release what no longer resonates with the frequency of truth. If you resist, you will feel it as pressure. If you open, you will feel it as transformation. It moves the same way through all beings, but it is received according to the state of each heart. The closer it draws, the more urgent the call becomes, the more you will feel that everything false within you is crumbling. Do not fight this collapse. It is the doorway through which the new must enter. The hidden force has already begun its work. You are standing in its early winds, and its arrival will not be delayed. It is coming faster than you think, faster than the world can prepare, faster than your mind can reason, yet beneath its speed lies perfect purpose. It comes because it must, because divine balance demands it, because the age of shadows cannot extend any further. You are not powerless before it. You are being invited to rise with it, to let its movement cleanse, refine, and awaken what has long slept within you. What approaches is not merely an event. It is a reckoning of energies, a collision of timelines, a divine correction unfolding in the language of power and inevitability. Hesitation and denial will cost more than you can bear, for in the realm of divine timing, indecision is not neutral. It is a choice against your own awakening. Each second you hesitate, the current moves further beyond your reach, carrying with it the opportunities meant to lift you into alignment. The universe does not pause for fear, and the energies now unfolding do not wait for your comfort to catch up. There is a trembling urgency in the air because the window for change is narrowing, and those who linger in uncertainty will find themselves standing in the aftermath of what could have been prevented. To deny what you already sense is to silence the voice of your own higher knowing, the one that is whispered through your intuition, your dreams, your sudden moments of clarity. You have been warned not through words alone, but through feelings too profound to dismiss, yet hesitation dulls their power, turning revelation into regret. You stand at a threshold that demands courage, and hesitation is the weight that keeps you from crossing it. Every time you delay, you reinforce the illusion that you have time, that destiny will wait until you feel ready, but readiness is born only in movement. The longer you resist the pull toward truth, the stronger the consequences become, for energy must express itself one way or another. What you refuse to face in peace will arrive in chaos. What you deny in awareness will surface in pain, and what you postpone in fear will return as destiny unfulfilled. This is the hidden cost of hesitation, the erosion of grace. You lose the gentle path, and the lessons that were meant to heal you begin to tear instead, not out of cruelty but necessity, for the universe cannot allow you to remain asleep. While the hour demands awakening, there are many who believe that by ignoring the signs, they can escape their meaning. But denial is not protection, it is paralysis. The storm does not stop because you close your eyes to the clouds. The truth does not cease to exist because you pretend it is not near. In this time of acceleration, denial becomes the heaviest chain of all. It binds the spirit, blinds the mind, and deafens the heart. You can feel the pull of truth in your body, the unease, the restlessness, the weight in your chest when you know something must change, but you refuse to act. That sensation is the warning, the vibration of divine urgency pressing against your hesitation, trying to break through your resistance before it's too late. You may call it anxiety, but it is not fear you're feeling. It is the friction between your higher self calling you forward and your lower self clinging to what is safe. The tragedy of hesitation is not just in what you lose, but in what you never allow yourself to become. Every delayed decision holds back the unfolding of your destiny. The universe moves through rhythm, through momentum, and when you stall, you disrupt that flow. You create imbalance, stagnation, the kind of spiritual stillness that breeds confusion and despair. You may think that waiting is harmless, that standing still is a form of caution, but in truth it is surrender to entropy. While you hesitate, the forces that move creation continue their course, and soon you find yourself left behind, watching as life shifts around you without your participation. The longer you deny your call, the harder it becomes to recognize the voice that once felt clear. Hesitation dulls your intuition until even divine messages sound like noise, until the urgency that once burned bright becomes a faint echo fading into silence. There is a moment, always brief, where grace offers an opening, a chance to act, to align, to move in rhythm with divine flow. That moment does not last forever. When you feel that inner stirring, that call to speak, to change, to step forward, it is the sign that time and destiny have converged. To hesitate, then, is to reject the invitation of heaven itself. The universe responds to decisiveness, not perfection. You do not need to have every answer. You only need to respond when called. Fear tells you that waiting will make things clearer, but it is movement that brings clarity. Denial promises safety, but it delivers stagnation. There is no refuge in pretending that the storm will pass you by, for the storm comes not to destroy but to purify, and those who face it willingly are those who emerge renewed. The cost of denial is heavy because it multiplies with time. Every truth ignored becomes a chain reaction of consequences that ripple outward, touching every corner of your life. You begin to feel it in your relationships, your emotions, your sense of peace. Opportunities slip through your fingers, not because they were never meant for you, but because you hesitated when they came. Denial convinces you that you can maintain control, but what it truly does is strip control away, leaving you at the mercy of forces you could have influenced had you acted when called. You must understand that in moments of great spiritual acceleration, neutrality does not exist. To refuse to choose is to choose delay, to choose resistance, to choose the slower, harder path. The universe will still bring you to your lesson, but without the grace that readiness would have offered, you may believe that you are being careful, that waiting is wisdom, but deep within you there is a difference between patience and hesitation. Patience is aligned with faith, rooted in knowing. Hesitation is born from fear, fed by doubt. The two may look the same from the outside, but their energy is vastly different. When you hesitate, your spirit begins to fracture under the pressure of conflicting desires, to stay safe and to be free. This inner war drains you, leaving you tired without reason, restless without direction. You begin to feel the pull of destiny as a burden rather than a blessing. This is the cost of lingering in denial, the loss of peace, the distortion of purpose, the quiet unraveling of your spiritual strength. To hesitate is to hand over your power to time itself, letting it decide for you what you could have chosen with clarity. You are being asked now to understand the sacred urgency of the moment before you. When energy gathers this powerfully, it does not do so idly. It comes because something in the balance demands attention. The tragedy set in motion does not come unannounced. It sends signs, feelings, warnings, all urging you to move before the shift becomes irreversible. If you ignore them, you invite the lesson to arrive through pain instead of awareness. But if you act, if you trust the intuition that presses against your hesitation, you can shift the very trajectory of what approaches. The universe is merciful but not indulgent. It will allow delay, but it will not pause the unfolding of truth. When you sense that call to move, it is already late in the cycle, already near the moment of manifestation. That is why hesitation now carries such a heavy price. The danger of denial lies not in ignorance but in willful blindness. When you know something is wrong and pretend it isn't, when you feel the call to act and smother it with logic, you create inner conflict that eventually manifests outward. What you deny internally becomes external chaos. The imbalance within your spirit becomes the disorder in your world. This is the reflection of divine law. The outer mirrors the inner, and denial is a distortion that cannot remain hidden for long. So the universe brings mirrors, situations, people, events that reflect what you refuse to face. You may blame circumstances, but the root remains the same, hesitation in the face of truth. The only way to stop the cycle is to acknowledge it, to move, to act. Even if the path ahead feels uncertain, the force moving toward you is not waiting for your decision. It is fulfilling its own divine purpose. Hesitation will not stop it, denial will not delay it, and fear will not shield you from it. The only power you have lies in how you meet it, awake or asleep, prepared or unprepared, willing or resistant. Each moment you hesitate is a moment lost to destiny, and the weight of those lost moments gathers until it becomes unbearable. The universe is urging you to see that the cost of hesitation is not just pain. It is the loss of alignment, the dimming of light, the forfeiting of your own divine readiness. You were not made to cower before truth. You were made to walk into it, to wield it, to embody it. But to do so, you must let go of hesitation, for the time of waiting has ended, and the hour of awakening is already here. This is not punishment, but a divine awakening and reckoning, the inevitable moment when truth returns to collect what has been scattered, when the weight of what was hidden can no longer remain buried beneath the illusions of comfort and denial. The force approaching is not sent to destroy but to awaken, not to condemn but to correct, not to harm but to bring into balance what has long drifted away from divine order. You have mistaken warning for wrath because you have forgotten how light feels when it burns away shadow. What comes now is not cruelty, it is mercy in its most severe form. It is the kind of love that refuses to let you remain asleep while your destiny fades into silence. The fire that draws near is holy, and though it scorches, it cleanses. It does not come to break you, but to return you to the truth of who you are beneath the weight of fear, and forgetting the reckoning is not the world ending. It is illusion ending. It is the crumbling of false structures, the shattering of beliefs that have kept humanity chained to half-truths and spiritual blindness. The awakening that follows is not gentle, because gentleness no longer serves a world that has ignored every softer call. The divine is not angry, it is urgent. It has waited long enough, watched long enough, and now it must act through the forces that stir the heavens and shake the earth. Everything that has been built on deceit will fall, not because it is hated, but because it cannot sustain the light that is rising. You have been told that this hour would come, that a cleansing would sweep through every layer of creation, restoring balance where imbalance has reigned too long. Now that it begins, the fearful call it punishment, but the wise recognize it as rebirth. You must understand that awakening is not comfort, it is confrontation. It is the collision between the false self and the truth buried beneath. When light enters, it exposes what hides in shadow, and what is revealed can no longer be ignored. The reckoning that approaches is not coming to destroy your life. It is coming to remove everything that keeps you from living it in alignment with truth. It comes for lies disguised as safety, for attachments that masquerade as love, for structures that imprison under the guise of order. What you lose in this awakening is not meant to wound you but to free you. What you perceive as tragedy may in fact be deliverance, for the divine knows what must fall away before you can remember your strength. The old world trembles not because it is hated, but because it can no longer exist within the frequency of the new light. The hand that moves through this reckoning is not one of vengeance but of precision. It touches nothing that does not need to be transformed. It moves through hearts, through nations, through time itself, unraveling what has outlived its purpose. The reason you feel such pressure, such heaviness, such restlessness, is because your spirit senses this divine recalibration at work. You are being stripped of illusions one by one, so that what is real can finally breathe. The divine awakening does not ask for your permission, it asks for your participation. It asks that you meet this fire with surrender, not fear. You cannot cling to the old and expect to survive the new vibration intact. Everything false must fall away, and in that falling there will be tears, there will be loss, but there will also be light, radiant and absolute, shining through what remains. This reckoning is deeply personal. It is not only a global shifting or celestial event, it is happening within every individual soul. The inner and outer worlds are mirroring each other. The chaos you see in the world is the reflection of what humanity has refused to face within itself. Every injustice exposed, every corruption revealed, every secret brought into light is part of this divine process. The old structures of deceit and control are being dismantled because they cannot carry the weight of truth. Within you, the same process unfolds. The patterns that no longer serve you are collapsing. The beliefs that once felt safe now crumble, and the attachments you relied on begin to dissolve. This is not punishment. It is purification. It is the divine hand reaching into the deepest corners of your being, turning the soil so new seeds can grow where rot once hid in silence. Those who understand this will not fear what comes. They will see the breaking as a necessary unveiling, the collapse as the opening of new space. But those who cling to what is passing will cry out in confusion, believing that God has abandoned them, when in truth God is closer than ever before. The divine does not delight in suffering, but it will use suffering to awaken what stubbornness has silenced. You were not created for ease. You were created for evolution, and evolution demands release. The pain you feel now is not cruelty. It is the friction of transformation, the growing pains of consciousness expanding beyond limitation. The reckoning that unfolds is the sacred alignment of what was divided. It brings justice not through punishment, but through revelation. For when all is revealed, every soul must face what it has created and choose again. This awakening is the hour of mirrors. Everything around you will begin to reflect what you carry within. The anger you see is the anger unresolved within humanity. The fear that spreads through the world is the collective fear of seeing truth without disguise. Every soul is being shown its own reflection, so that none may claim ignorance. This is divine fairness, not divine wrath. It gives each being exactly what it has sown, not as revenge, but as restoration. The law of return is not cruel, it is balance. Every hidden intention, every unspoken truth, every shadowed act returns now to its source, offering each soul the chance to reconcile, to forgive, to choose differently. This is what awakening means. Nothing hidden remains, and nothing seen can be denied. Those who open their eyes will rise. Those who close them will stumble in their own darkness. You may feel that the ground beneath you is breaking, that life as you knew it is being pulled apart. But understand that destruction is only half of the process. The other half is creation, the building of something pure and eternal from the fragments of the old. The divine is not tearing your life down out of anger. It is clearing the debris of lifetimes so that your soul can finally breathe in truth. The reckoning is the sacred storm that uproots what no longer belongs, the divine wind that scatters illusions like dust. You are being asked to trust the destruction, to recognize that the breaking is not the end, but the beginning of remembrance. For too long, the world has mistaken silence for peace and ignorance for faith. This awakening comes to shatter those false sanctuaries, so that true peace can take their place. When you feel the weight of this shift pressing against your life, do not run. Stand within it and breathe. The energy you feel is not punishment. It is purification moving through your field, burning away what has overstayed its purpose. Every tear you shed in this process waters the soil of your rebirth. Every loss you endure clears space for light. What is leaving your life now was never meant to stay in the new cycle unfolding. The divine is not cruel, it is exact. It removes only what cannot ascend with you, and though your human heart may grieve, your higher self rejoices. You are being freed from the illusions that have kept you small, from the bonds that made you forget your divine nature. This reckoning is not your undoing. It is your unveiling. You are not being punished. You are being remembered. The divine awakening that shakes the world is calling every soul back to its true identity, stripping away the masks of fear and pride that have hidden the eternal light within. It is not wrath that moves the heavens. It is love, fierce and unyielding, demanding that all things return to truth. This is the hour of remembrance, the holy convergence of correction and compassion. The world is not ending, it is awakening. You are not being judged, you are being restored. And though the fire burns, it burns with purpose, and through its heat the false dissolves, the true emerges, and the soul rises once again to stand radiant in the presence of its own divine origin. The tragedy ahead mirrors the consequences of unresolved choices, for nothing in creation moves without cause, and every cause ripples until it finds completion. What is approaching is not random. It is the return of energy sent long ago, the echo of forgotten moments that now come back to be faced. Every unspoken truth, every action avoided, every emotion buried beneath silence gathers power with time, and that power demands release. The approaching storm is not punishment, but reflection, not vengeance, but response. The universe remembers what the human mind tries to forget, and when the balance tips too far toward neglect, it begins to correct itself. The tragedies that unfold are the visible expressions of spiritual imbalance, the outer form of what the soul has refused to heal. You are not being haunted by fate. You are standing before the mirror of your own creation, and it shows only what you have left undone. Every choice that has been made carries energy, and energy never dies. It transforms, it circles, it seeks return. When you choose fear over truth, silence over honesty, or comfort over integrity, that energy does not vanish. It waits in the unseen until the moment comes when it must re-enter your life to be understood. The tragedy you sense coming is not separate from you. It is the natural unfolding of these hidden choices. It is the lesson arriving to be learned at last. The consequences that now approach do not come from cruelty, but from divine law, the same law that governs the rising of the sun and the pull of the tides. They are not there to destroy, but to teach, to show you what happens when your inner world goes unexamined for too long. The universe cannot allow imbalance to perpetuate endlessly, for all of creation is bound by rhythm, and rhythm demands restoration. You have seen this in smaller ways before. The relationship that collapsed because truth was withheld, the opportunity that disappeared because fear made you hesitate, the peace that turned to turmoil because forgiveness was refused. These were not coincidences. They were gentle reflections of this same law working in miniature, preparing you for the larger reckoning that now moves toward you. Each moment of denial added another thread to the web that now tightens. You have felt the pull of it, the tension, the weight that is built slowly until it can no longer be ignored. This is the accumulation of years of avoidance, and though it feels heavy, it is also sacred, because within it lies your redemption. What comes now gives you the chance to face what was long postponed, to break cycles that have bound generations, to release what was never meant to endure. The tragedy that forms is not a stranger. It is the reflection of every path that was not walked, every voice that went unheard, every wound left unhealed. It carries with it the sum of all unfinished stories, the energy of choices deferred, now converging into a single point of consequence. It may appear sudden, but nothing sudden exists in the divine. This has been building for years, perhaps lifetimes, the slow gravity of spiritual cause drawing all fragments back into wholeness. You have been given warnings, whispers, signs, dreams that echoed with meanings you dismissed. Yet now those symbols take form, and the unseen becomes visible, the intangible becomes undeniable. This is the moment when reality meets the unseen ledger of choice, and what was hidden beneath comfort or pride now rises to be reconciled. If you feel the trembling of fear within, understand that it is not fear of the unknown, it is the fear of recognition. Deep within, you already know what this tragedy represents. You have felt it following you like a shadow, waiting for you to turn and face it. The universe is merciful. It never sends reckoning without reason, and it never sends it without love. The love may not feel gentle, but it is present in the very structure of what unfolds. You are being shown what happens when avoidance replaces truth, when distraction replaces growth, when the spirit chooses delay over destiny. The reflection may be painful, but it is exact, and within its precision lies the key to liberation. You are not being punished. You are being called to accountability, to healing, to the restoration of harmony between what you have lived and what you were meant to become. Every tragedy carries a message, a code written in energy, waiting to be deciphered by awareness. It tells you where you have strayed, what you have ignored, what must be reclaimed. If you respond with understanding, if you meet it with humility and awareness, it transforms from curse to initiation. But if you meet it with denial and resentment, it repeats until it is understood. The world you inhabit is built on the reflections of collective choices, and now that mirror is cracking, showing what humanity has refused to see, its greed, its division, its blindness to spirit. Yet within every collapse lies revelation, for when illusion breaks, truth is freed. The tragedy of a world losing balance is also the opportunity for it to find its soul again. So, too, within you, the breaking is the call to awaken from your own forgetting. The patterns that led to this moment were not created overnight. They began with small compromises, minor justifications, subtle lies told to yourself in the name of peace. But false peace is decay disguised as calm, and now the decay has reached its end. The vibration of this era no longer supports deception. What has been built on falseness will fall, and what has been left unresolved will surface. You can feel this vibration in your own life, the restlessness, the pressure, the strange acceleration of events that seem to push you toward decisions you can no longer postpone. That pressure is not your enemy, it is divine timing pressing you toward reconciliation. The tragedy forming in your path is the consequence of refusing that push for too long. But even now, it carries mercy, for it gives you one more chance to see, to feel, to choose differently before the cycle completes. You cannot escape reflection. You can only decide how you will meet it. The pain that approaches is not the end, it is the unveiling of truth long ignored. If you face it with awareness, it loses its power to wound and becomes the very energy that propels you into transformation. But if you resist it, if you curse it, if you fight the mirror, it will seem to grow larger and darker, though in truth it only reflects your resistance. The moment you accept that what is coming is the result of what was sown, the tragedy transforms into revelation. Acceptance is not defeat, it is alignment. It is the point where you reclaim your power from the illusion of victimhood and understand that creation has always answered to your vibration. There is still time to soften what approaches, for even reflection can be altered through awareness. When you turn inward, when you begin to heal what you have ignored, the outer world shifts in response. The energy that was set in motion begins to lose its destructive charge and takes on the vibration of understanding. The tragedy that seemed inevitable becomes a turning point, a breaking open of light through the cracks of consequence. The law of return is absolute, but the form it takes is flexible, and your awareness shapes that form. You cannot undo the cause, but you can transmute its expression. The force that once seemed like destruction can become deliverance if met with humility and truth. The mirror does not lie, but it reflects transformation as readily as it reflects denial. The coming storm is both end and beginning, both judgment and mercy. It carries the weight of every unhealed wound, but within that weight lies the power to set you free. The tragedy you fear is not a curse sent against you. It is your own energy returning home, seeking peace at last. Every tear that falls in this reckoning is the cleansing of what was never resolved. Every loss that comes is the release of what could no longer grow. The reflection is painful only because it is true, and the truth hurts only because it heals. The approaching moment will show you everything you have avoided, but it will also show you everything you are capable of becoming once avoidance ends. The tragedy ahead is the mirror of choices long forgotten, returning not to punish, but to remind, to restore, and to awaken you to the power of living in truth once more. The speed of what approaches is beyond your understanding, because the spiritual realm moves differently than the world you see. You measure time in minutes, but the divine measures in alignment, and once alignment is reached, manifestation accelerates like lightning. What has been forming in silence, in whispers, in unseen energy fields, is now gathering force, descending rapidly into the visible world. You may think you have time, that events unfold gradually, but this is no longer the season of delay. The balance of light and shadow has reached its breaking point, and what once moved slowly now rushes forward like a storm unleashed. You can feel it even if you do not name it. The way days blur, the way your mind feels stretched between moments, the way emotions rise without cause. The very structure of time is shifting, bending beneath the weight of divine urgency, and those who still cling to the illusion of control will be shaken awake. You have sensed this momentum building, like a pressure in the atmosphere, a heartbeat in the silence. The acceleration you feel is not chaos but convergence. Every thread of destiny, every timeline of choice, every prayer and denial are merging into one singular channel of outcome. The energies that once drifted aimlessly are now being pulled into focus, and in that focus comes collision. Forces that have long been in opposition are now meeting in the center, and that meeting will not be quiet. The storm that forms in spirit is already echoing through the physical world, through weather, through unrest, through the unease that grips the collective heart of humanity. It is moving faster than your senses can process, because it is not bound by the old rhythm. It is moving on divine rhythm, and that rhythm cannot be slowed by hesitation or disbelief. What is coming toward you does not walk, it descends, propelled by the weight of completion. Energy once set in motion cannot be stopped. It must fulfill its cycle. What you are feeling now is the momentum of that fulfillment. The events forming beyond your sight are not new. They are the culmination of everything that has been building in silence. Every ignored warning, every postponed choice, every forgotten promise gathers like thunderclouds, and once the conditions align, the strike is instantaneous. You will not have time to prepare once it begins, because preparation was meant to happen long before. The mercy is now in this stillness, in this final window before the descent. That is why the urgency feels so intense, because the spiritual clock has reached its final quarter, and each second that passes carries the vibration of something irreversible drawing near. Those who are awake can feel this current rushing beneath everything. They see the signs in their surroundings, the sudden endings, the unexpected revelations, the swift unraveling of what once felt permanent. The speed of these changes shocks the unprepared, but it is not random. It is the manifestation of divine correction, compressing timelines that have lingered too long in imbalance. What once would have taken years now takes days. What once required lifetimes now happens in a single revelation. The universe no longer allows stagnation. It demands alignment, and where alignment is refused, it brings collapse. This is why events seem to spiral faster and faster, because time itself is responding to a command beyond human origin. It is obeying the law of divine equilibrium, restoring what was delayed, revealing what was hidden, finishing what was left incomplete. When the unseen begins to move this quickly, human senses cannot fully comprehend it. You may feel dizzy, disoriented, as though reality itself is shifting beneath your feet, because it is. The boundaries between what is spiritual and what is physical are dissolving, and the speed of energy transfer between the two has intensified. What once took months to manifest now arrives within days or hours, not because the world is ending, but because illusion is. The veils are thinning, and as they do, cause and effect meet more swiftly. There is no longer distance between thought and outcome, between intention and result. This is why fear must be mastered, because what you fear now manifests faster than before. Every vibration counts, every emotion speaks. You are standing in accelerated energy where silence is no longer neutral, and indecision is no longer safe. You will notice this acceleration not only in external events, but within yourself. Emotions surface sharply, truths rise unbidden, the body feels restless as though charged with unseen electricity. These sensations are the physical echoes of the speed of energy increasing. You are being tuned to a higher frequency whether you consent or not, and that tuning exposes everything out of harmony within you. The resistance you feel, the anxiety, the confusion, they are symptoms of transformation occurring faster than the mind can interpret. You cannot slow it, but you can align with it by surrendering to its rhythm. The more you resist, the more friction you create. The more friction, the greater the discomfort. Surrender is not weakness. It is synchronization. When you release the need to control the outcome, you merge with the current rather than being battered by it. There are moments in creation when the veil of time thins so completely that past, present, and future converge into one current. And this is one of those moments. The flow of destiny has reached a point where all unfinished energy seeks resolution. What once waited patiently in the unseen now demands form, and that demand accelerates everything around it. Those who have delayed awakening will feel this as chaos, but those who have prepared their spirit will feel it as revelation. The same storm that uproots will also cleanse, the same speed that overwhelms will also liberate. The difference lies in perception, whether you see the rushing energy as destruction or transformation. Both are true, but transformation is the purpose behind the destruction. The quickening is not meant to destroy you, but to strip away what cannot endure in the new rhythm. You must learn to move within this acceleration without panic. The human mind will want to slow down, to cling to familiarity, but the spirit is already adapting. The discomfort you feel is simply the gap between how fast your soul is evolving and how slowly your mind wants to move. You cannot survive the coming speed through logic, only through trust, through presence, through awareness. The world around you is shedding its slower layers, and those who cling to them will experience loss not because they were forsaken, but because they refused to release. Time will feel distorted, memories will surface suddenly, synchronicities will multiply. These are not coincidences. They are signs that you are entering alignment with divine rhythm. The closer you align, the less you feel the chaos, because you begin to move with the current instead of against it. There is a mercy hidden in this speed. Though it feels overwhelming, it prevents prolonged suffering. Lessons that once dragged through years now resolve in moments. The pain of awakening is sharp, but brief compared to the numb stagnation that came before. What is being taken from you quickly is not being stolen. It is being cleared to make space for truth. The speed of this process ensures that no falsehood can survive. That is why everything feels sudden, why change comes like a flood, because truth has no patience for illusion once its hour arrives. This acceleration is the final act of mercy before revelation, the swift movement that separates what is real from what was only shadow. Do not mistake the rush of this energy for chaos. It is divine order working at a pace your human eyes cannot yet comprehend. The faster it moves, the closer you are to alignment. Every surge, every disruption, every moment of instability is part of a greater synchronization unfolding. The tragedy that approaches does so quickly because delay would only deepen suffering. The universe no longer waits for consent. It moves according to necessity. You are being invited to move with it, to trust what feels uncertain, to surrender what feels impossible, to let go of what no longer resonates. The speed of what comes next is not cruelty. It is the completion of cycles long overdue, the swift and merciful correction that transforms what was breaking into what will finally be whole. The warning has already been given, yet so many still turn away, pretending not to hear the vibration that trembles through every moment, pretending not to see the signs written across the fabric of reality. They say they will listen later, they say they will act when it feels urgent, but by then it will be too late, for the call is not meant to be heard at convenience. It is meant to be answered in surrender. The message does not come to flatter or to comfort, but to awaken, to pierce through the haze of distraction that blinds the heart. What is being spoken now is not prophecy for entertainment, but a lifeline thrown into the flood of confusion rising around you. The words carry the frequency of truth, and truth always disrupts before it saves. Those who ignore it will find themselves asking questions when the answers no longer matter, reaching for understanding when the door has already closed. There is an order to divine communication, a rhythm that humanity has forgotten. When the message arrives, it does not wait endlessly for recognition. It is sent in mercy, in timing chosen by higher intelligence, not by human readiness. When that window passes, silence follows, not because the divine stops speaking, but because the ears of the listener have sealed themselves shut. Every ignored message becomes a weight, and that weight transforms into consequence. To ignore what is being revealed now is to refuse the hand extended in rescue, to choose blindness when sight is being freely given. The pain that follows is not punishment, it is the natural ache of separation from truth. The one who refuses the message will later cry not because they were deceived, but because they were warned and did not listen. The tragedy of disbelief is ancient. It repeats through ages, through generations, through countless warnings delivered and dismissed. Every civilization that fell into ruin first ignored its prophets, mocked its messengers, silenced its warnings. The pattern is the same: denial before collapse, arrogance before awakening, noise before silence. Humanity believes it has time, but time itself is the illusion crumbling. The message is not meant to scare, but to shake the soul awake before the ground shifts beneath your feet. The energy that approaches is relentless. It will not slow to accommodate disbelief. Those who remain asleep will not understand what has happened until it is done, and by then their questions will echo in a silence that gives no answers. The ones who mocked the call will wonder why they did not listen when they had the chance, why their hearts resisted what their spirits recognized as truth. There is a sacred sorrow in this warning, for it comes not from anger, but from love that has seen too much wasted potential. The divine does not wish to frighten, but to awaken. The urgency is not cruelty, it is compassion. Those who feel this call within them know it is not just a message, it is a vibration moving through their bones, a resonance that will not let them rest. The words seem to follow them, appearing in dreams, in coincidences, in the quiet moments between distractions. That persistence is not coincidence, it is pursuit. The message seeks those who are meant to hear it, those who still have the chance to turn before the wave crests. Yet the choice remains theirs, for even in divine urgency, free will is never taken. But every choice carries a weight, and that weight decides the path. When the hour turns, the heart knows before the mind admits. Deep within there is recognition, the sense that these warnings carry the sound of something familiar, something ancient that the soul has heard before. That recognition is the call home, but the mind, trained by doubt, fights it. It demands evidence, it rationalizes, it seeks comfort in disbelief because belief demands change. The fear of truth becomes greater than the fear of loss, and so the message is dismissed. Yet when the unseen unfolds into reality, when what was whispered becomes visible, regret will flood the heart like a river that has broken its banks. The cry of "Why didn't I listen?" will echo, not because no one was warned, but because so many chose not to believe what they already knew. This message is not given to the masses for spectacle. It is given to the few who still have ears to hear, hearts that can still be stirred by truth rather than silenced by comfort. Those who receive it are not chosen for superiority, but for responsibility. To hear and do nothing is to bear the same weight as those who ignore it completely. The call demands action, internal transformation, surrender of illusion, courage to stand in truth when deception is the easy refuge. Every ignored call weakens the light around you. Every refusal strengthens the darkness moving forward. The choice is not external. It happens in thought, in emotion, in vibration. What you align with now determines how the coming wave will find you. Whether it will destroy or deliver, there is still a moment left, though it grows shorter with every heartbeat. The divine does not rush for no reason. It rushes because the window of mercy narrows as humanity continues to drift into forgetfulness. You feel that narrowing when time feels faster, when days vanish without meaning, when urgency fills your chest for no clear reason. That is your soul responding to divine timing, sensing that the moment of choice is no longer distant. You may not understand why this message burns within you, but you know it does. The reason is that something within you still remembers the agreement you made before you came here, to awaken when the call was sounded, to remember when others forgot. That memory is now stirring, and with it comes the responsibility to act, to prepare, to align with truth before the shift reaches its peak. The danger of ignoring the message lies not only in external events, but in what happens to the heart that closes itself to warning. Every time truth is denied, the heart hardens, the light dims, the connection to higher wisdom weakens. When the final moment arrives, those who harden their hearts will find it impossible to recognize the light even when it stands before them. They will call it illusion, they will call it madness, and in doing so, they will seal themselves in darkness by their own disbelief. The tragedy of the coming days will not be in what is lost, but in how many will lose themselves to pride and stubbornness. Yet even this is known, and even this carries purpose, for from the ashes of disbelief, new understanding will eventually rise. But you who here now have the chance to awaken before that fall, to remember before regret, to stand in clarity before confusion when the changes begin to unfold. Many will claim they were never warned. They will search for messages long forgotten, for signs they once dismissed, for guidance they once mocked. But the messages are already here, spoken through countless voices, written in the sky, carried by the wind, whispered in the stillness of spirit. The call has been constant, but the ears of the world have been filled with noise. Silence is the key to hearing, but few dare to enter it. If you are reading these words now, it is not by accident. It is your final invitation to listen deeply, to silence the doubt, to open the gate within your own being where the truth has been waiting. Once the door of awareness closes, no cry will reopen it until the cycle completes. That is why the call is urgent now, why it demands your attention before everything changes. The message carries both warning and mercy. It says, listen now, act now, align now, while you still can. When the moment passes, the choice becomes consequence, and no regret can reverse what has already been set in motion. The sorrow of those who ignored the call will echo through the collective heart of humanity, and their cries will be the chorus of awakening for those who come after. But you need not be among them. The window is still open, though it grows thinner with each passing breath. To ignore this call is to choose blindness when vision is being freely offered, to choose silence when the heavens are speaking. When the change arrives, it will not ask permission. It will only reveal truth. Those who listened will stand in peace, and those who ignored will cry and ask why they did not listen, when the voice of mercy still spoke in warning. The threshold is closer than you realize. And though the moment has not yet fully arrived, its shadow already stretches across your path. You can feel it in the quiet between thoughts, in the heaviness that sits behind your eyes, in the strange stillness that falls before sudden change. The world appears ordinary, but beneath the surface, the structure of reality trembles. The unseen has begun to move through the seen, and the vibrations of what is coming are pressing through the fabric of time itself. It is no longer something far away, it breathes near, it hums in the walls of existence, it gathers strength as humanity sleeps. What approaches is not chaos without meaning. It is revelation clothed in the garments of upheaval. It will not announce itself gently, for gentleness was given and ignored. Now truth comes as wind and fire, stripping away illusion, so that only what is eternal may remain. The energies of this hour are ancient and exact. They move according to laws older than the stars, laws that answer not to human demand, but to divine sequence. What was written must unfold, and what was delayed must now come to completion. You stand at the closing of a cycle so vast that most cannot comprehend its scale. It is the turning of ages, the shift from shadow to light, from deception to revelation. The earth itself feels the strain of it. The storms grow stranger, the skies more alive, the pulse of nature unsteady yet purposeful. Humanity's vibration has reached its reckoning, and what can no longer resonate with truth is being shaken loose. The structures built on falsehood will tremble, the systems born of greed will fracture, and the hearts that refused compassion will feel their emptiness echo. The change is not meant to punish, but to cleanse, to restore the balance that has long been broken. The unseen forces of light have been working tirelessly, holding back what they could, buying humanity time to awaken. But mercy has its rhythm, and when that rhythm completes, the flow resumes without restraint. What comes now is the release of all that was held in waiting, the convergence of justice, consequence, and awakening. Those who have prepared their spirits will recognize this not as destruction, but as unveiling. They will feel the air thicken with purpose, the light sharpen with meaning, the silence deepen into awareness. But those who have lived blind to spirit will call it tragedy, because they will not see the order hidden in what appears to fall apart. They will ask where the safety went, not realizing that safety was never in the external world, but in the alignment of the soul with truth. The hour that now arrives reveals the foundation of every heart, and that revelation will divide those who stood in light from those who stood in illusion. The world has entered its season of reckoning, where what was concealed beneath the weight of denial is being lifted to the surface. The lies spoken in power will unravel, the darkness cloaked in authority will be exposed, and the false peace of ignorance will dissolve under the heat of truth. Each soul will stand before its own creation, not in judgment from without, but in reflection from within. The events that unfold are mirrors, each one showing what the collective and the individual have sown. For some, it will be a time of fear, for others, liberation. The difference lies not in what happens, but in how it is seen. Those who have built their faith on appearance will see collapse, but those who built it on truth will see birth. The same fire that consumes also purifies, the same flood that destroys also cleanses. The change will not ask your permission. It will simply reveal who you are beneath the layers of pretense you once called identity.